Should we talk Airbnb?
Yeah, let's do it. I've got the quarter, and it was actually full year for Airbnb, so I thought this was an excellent quarter. I'd be interested in hearing what you guys think about the quarter rather than, I suppose, the business as a whole. But here's a quick rundown on the quarter then. So nights and experiences was up 20%, active listings was up 16%, revenue was up 24%, adjusted EBITDA was up 52%, EBITDA margin of about 27%. Free cash flow was up 49%, that's 455 million in free cash flow, 41% margin. It's also a full year for Airbnb, so here's a quick rundown of some of that. Revenue was up to 8.4 billion, that's up 40%. Net income 1.9 billion, so that's nearly a 23% margin. 3.4 billion in free cash flow generated, that's up 49% year on year. Gross bookings now at 63.2 billion, up 35%, and the share count obviously went a little bit down as we discussed earlier. So running the maths on this, when I wrote this little piece, Airbnb I thought would have a P of about 38, but I've noticed it was up 10% after that, or 12% I think, and then up another 6. So they're probably quite comfortably in the 40s by now. But we did talk about this a lot earlier. I think we were in these, maybe even the 70s or the 80s, when we said that this was beginning to look quite tasty on a free cash flow basis if it managed it for the year. And I think it actually surpassed what we were guessing at as well. So yeah, I've got a bit of an admission for you guys. I actually flunked out of Airbnb at $118 earlier last year. But I bought back in at $86, so I am now up 60-something%.
Nice.
I had concerns about,
right? That's the bottom.
Yeah, I can show. I'll put the chart on screen for everybody. I have tagged the bottom of Airbnb, the very bottom. Yeah. So look, I had concerns about their fees and their transparency, and about 5 days after I saw Chesky came out and said, "I'm going to make sure they're all in the listing, so you guys fully understand what you're paying for, and you don't say, hey, that's 60 quid for a room, and then by the time it comes to booking, it's 5 million." He said, "No, I'm going to make sure they're all in the listing." So straight away, I was like, "Ah, crap! That was my big problem with them." That was what really kind of flunked me out. But I think risk reward really reset for me at 88. I felt like it was a big win. So, either of you guys interested in it? Is it just too high at the moment, or could it grow into a good valuation? What do you think?
A little bit high. You asked about the quarter specifically at the start and what we sort of thought about that before the business as a whole. I think wherever you look, this has to be an encouraging quarter. It's difficult to kind of completely isolate it from the business, but if we just think in basic terms for the moment, then growth stock. So we're looking for this to grow somehow, and that can either come through higher revenues or higher margins or a lower share count or a pushed dividend or something like that, basically. It's got pretty much all of those going on from what I can see of it, and that should be leading to pretty substantial growth coming through all over the place. And then the next thing I guess I would look for is, what kind of a moat does this thing have? I think the answer I would come up with in my head is a network effect, by which I mean more people look on it because more people list on it, and more people list on it because more people look on it. You said active listings were up. I think you said 16% along the way. The numbers came quite fast, but I think I picked up 16% there. So seeing that moving up and higher is encouraging. It sounds pretty encouraging just as a quarter for the moment. Get back to valuation in a little bit, but in terms of the quarter by itself, there's nothing to not like there, is there?
I didn't get anything from this report that I didn't think, wow, that's really good. The one sort of, if we can call it a semi-negative, I guess, that I'm picking out of it is that EBITDA expansion, the EBIT margin expansion is definitely slowing. So, like I said earlier, we were at negative 25 about 8 quarters ago. The quarter before, we were at plus 22. We only managed to get to plus 23. Now, whether you think that's potentially something to do with the environment, it could well be, but it also could be that Airbnb has already got to sort of like, peak efficiency in terms of its profitability, and margin expansion from this point onwards would be pretty difficult unless they start pissing people off by increasing the take rate. But when you're looking at these figures, there's literally no point to do that, is there? I don't see why you would do it unless you get greedy.
I was gonna try. I've got to disclaim this first of all. There's nothing wrong here, is there? It's really, really good for Airbnb, but I'm going to try and play devil's advocate here. Good you managed to mention take rate, because that's the important part, I think. Bookings have gone up by like 19%, I think it was, something like that. or was it 24%? 24%. But a lot of their revenue growth isn't necessarily down to the fact that they got more bookings in. It's the fact that they have taken more over this year. They've certainly upped their prices. Now you can argue, is that because bookings are slowing down? Well, no, because we exited COVID and everyone started flooding into holidays, so bookings are up. That's brilliant. I would still, I've covered it earlier, I still think there's a little bit of pull forward there, which might slow the growth in the next coming years, but it's not going to slow down to below double digits. I just can't see that happening at all. Take rate though was quite high. It went. They did take a lot more money out of each of these, but that, on the other hand, shows pricing power as well. You were talking there about networking effects and people staying on, more people hiring out their house, more people buying. I don't think though, I still don't think that this the Airbnb is a YouTube versus Twitch situation. And by that, I mean, I don't think that lots of people are going to stay on YouTube because YouTube pay more and not deal with Twitch, and Twitch is going to struggle. I think this is unfortunately a non-loyalty product as far as the homeowners and the renters are concerned, because what they can do is they can go to anywhere, and any smart renter will go to any platform and dish out on any platform. It's just, how do Airbnb keep people coming back to Airbnb? And that's the important part. We've seen really, really good stuff with Airbnb trying to bring it in by delivering multiple products. They've had that really cool little bar at the top of their website now where you can find cool homes and your different types of homes, unique homes. So they are coming up with ways. I just call me lack of, I'm not creative enough to think of new ways to bring people in. Certainly not. I'll get ChatGPT to figure it out for me maybe. But what do Airbnb do from here to become more than just a home search engine like all the others? Is it going to be a winner take all?
Well, it maybe not, but I think at the moment we're kind of proving that it doesn't really matter, does it? They don't need to have the whole market to make any money, which is one of the things you sometimes worry about with some of these tech stocks, where you think, yeah, they're saying we've got a TAM of 100 billion. You're like, yeah, but you're at 20 and you haven't made a penny yet. So.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not like that with Airbnb. One of the things that they do, and we've spoke about it quite a lot of times, is that they do that special Airbnb home insurers policy, which is a good way of keeping renters coming onto the platform exclusively on Airbnb. If they think, well, if they go on Verbo and we get some frat kids down and they trash the place, at least with Airbnb you're covered for that kind of damage, aren't you? And Airbnb are quite strict with their renters. They don't allow they block people from using it. They blocked actually a couple of politically affiliated people from using it the other day, which kind of got some pretty bad. I think it was one of the really far right wing Lauren Boebert kind of American politicians who, I think her father got blocked because he booked an Airbnb for something along those lines. Anyway, so they are very, very press. No such thing. Yeah, well, they're very, very careful about that. So I think that's them trying to sort of like just massage the network for a little bit. So if all the bookings are growing, look, the bookings are up 35% year-on-year gross bookings, and the listings are up 16%. So this definitely shows that people are coming. Nights and Experience is a nice little flywheel to run alongside the actual business. We'll see how that goes. I'm not really into that.
I hope they don't bring up their take rate. I hope that they don't bring up their take rate any further than they already have, because I believe that essentially they've made this much money right now by squeezing the you're squeezing the customer at that point, aren't you? The customer's hard to define on Airbnb, isn't it? The renter, not the rentee, as it were. They've had to raise the prices on Airbnb to accommodate that and get that in. But we've proven the bookings are up, so people are still buying. People are still happy to pay that little bit more for Airbnb, including that insurance and all those things. Largely, the whole cleaning the apartments on Airbnb is odd, and the really weird thing is the boomers that keep saying I prefer hotels. They prefer to they say it's too stinky to go around someone's house and sleep in somebody's bed in a house that they've done, but they would prefer to sleep in a bed that 200 people have shagged in on a night out in a hotel. I just can't really get my head around it. So
that's a popular room. Book me in.
But it's, you see what I mean. A lot of the downsides of Airbnb can kind of be thrown away now. So all we've got is upside on Airbnb, and I've tried to play devil's advocate there, but it's really, really hard. It's just about take rate. Don't raise that take rate. Try and keep it where it is. Hope it's not revenue that's been brought forward from this COVID revenge tourism thing, and let's hope it keeps going.
Yeah, you should see the state of my loyalty card for that place where 200 people have been shagging. Anyway,
Holiday Inn Stoke-on-Trent got voted like the #1 swingers hotel one of these years, and everyone decided to go use it as a tourism thing and just book rooms and listen in on people's doors. That was my student. That was my university experience.
Paul with a special glass that he puts against walls.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, they're all doing it in the back of Teslas these days. But 10 times sales on Airbnb is not too bad, Steve. I was just trying to work out a valuation there. Thing's got no debt. It's got about 5 billion in net cash with some very quick maths that I was trying to do. If this thing gets to anywhere near a sort of 30% margin, and I'm not sure why it couldn't, that's a decent looking return.
Who's doing price to sales in 2023? We don't look at 20.
We've got earnings now, Steve. Come on,
fucked us up in 2020. Stop looking at price to sales.